Hey, man.
What's up?
Have you ever heard of...
I thought you were about to do the oh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, not much.
Have I ever heard of what?
Oh, have you ever heard of Orgone?
Oregon?
Orgone.
Are you just saying Oregon, stupid?
Nope. Orgone. O-R-G-O-N-E. Orgone.
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 Well, you're either here or gone. You know? Also a great joke. Don't write it down. Alex?
He's not writing that one.
Yeah,
he's like, we'll leave
we're
that
gonna
one.
leave- yeah,
We'll
we're
leave
gonna-
that one.
To this day, if you go to the FDA and you say Oregon, they shoot you on the spot. So he just built microwaves for people.
Step into my human wave.
You know what one of my biggest fears is?
What?
That one of these cults is right. That's like one of my biggest fears.
Things I learned last night. TILLN it.
Oregon?
Man,
Stop right now. Stop.
it's not
right
an alien
now.
thing. It's not an alien thing. Don't worry. I mean, it could be.
Or is it like a fantasy thing? Oregon sounds like he trains dragons. You know what I'm talking about? Like that's Oregon.
That's Orgone, our dragon trainer.
Am I just thinking of what was the big dragon series? Aragon?
Aragon.
Yeah.
I think they're making that into a movie.
Great. I'll watch it. I guess I'll subscribe to whatever service is doing it and I'll watch it because I just couldn't remember the title of the book, but you know what I can't wait for is the movie. You know, couldn't remember a thing about it. All I know is there's a blue dragon on the front, but I was like, yeah, can't wait to watch that film. Can't wait to sit down with a big old bucket of popcorn and watch that movie.
Okay.
You know?
There's a lot of trails we need to follow here.
No.
Let's start from the beginning. Have you ever heard of Wilhelm Reich?
Wilhelm Reich?
Yeah.
German.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like a slight disclaimer is necessary here. Wilhelm Reich was a contemporary of Freud.
Okay.
And so he has some very Freudian theories.
Sure.
So if you're one of those people who listen with your family and you haven't had some conversations, maybe skip the first few minutes of this.
About Freud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a moment in every child's life when their dad sits them down and
He
says,
goes, "Son,
it's time to learn about Sigmund
We need to
Freud."
talk about the Freud and the bees. And what are you talking about?
Okay, no, so Wilhelm...
He's got some Freudian logic.
Yeah, and this Orgone comes from
you
it.
mean around like the Oedipus complex kind of stuff?
No, but similar in weirdness.
Okay.
So basically, Wilhelm and Freud never met each other.
Okay.
Wilhelm
Wilhelm picked up his work of looking at eels.
But they were psychoanalyzing at the same time.
Okay.
And Freud was a fan of Reich. Reich was influenced by Freud. So Reich came like at the very end of Freud's life and career, and then started his career early enough to where Freud...
So Reich was a fan of Freud.
Reich was a fan of Freud, and he was influenced greatly by him. And then Freud, their careers overlapped just a little bit. So Freud got his books and became a fan of him as well. But
So
they
there's
never met.
Just a mutual
A mutual fanhood.
Yeah.
Mutual combat. So, and actually, if you go to the Sigmund Freud Museum, which is his house, his personal library is there.
I want to be that level of famous where they have to turn my apartment unit into a museum, you know?
This is where Jaron Myers lived, and everyone's like, this is it?
This is... That's like the time one of my friends got in my car and was like, "This is your car?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I love how humble you are." No, that's not a good thing to say.
It's not.
But I am going to start saying that when I go to friends' houses.
This is the best I can do.
I go, "I love how humble you guys are." It's really good. That's just that's like the worst rich person gig. Where you just walk to someone's home. Their home. They have a mortgage payment.
So humble.
You just go, "I love how humble you guys are.
That's
this is great.
so
This is like the perfect size because it's not too big. You know?
Not too big. It's not too big. You need to start doing that. Like, start meeting really rich people.
Oh yeah,
and
then
like to
tear
have
them
just
down.
absurd houses.
Dude, I should have done that to that really rich house I did a couple of weeks ago. I went and did a backyard show. Like the kind of family that has a painting of their family.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, anybody who has that, if you got a painting of if you have a painting of yourself, but you have a family portrait that's painted. No, dude, you should pay more in taxes. Okay. So I'm like, you know what I'm talking about? So like that house, I should have walked in and been like, oh,
so humble. So
my apartment's bigger.
So Freud was a fan, but they never met. And Reich was greatly influenced by him, and it shows.
In the Sigmund Freud Museum, what?
Oh, Sigmund Freud has all the books that he had released before Sigmund Freud died.
If you look at the last page, torn off.
They're like academic books; they don't even end in the end.
It
like doesn't even make sense that he left it with all the bodies.
Of the eels.
It's like in conclusion, the psychoanalysis of our tests this, and
That's
then it's just
funny.
like, what is this? So Wilhelm Reich had this theory that there's an energy in the world that is kind of circulating our atmosphere, and it builds up in each of us, and that causes all of our stress and anxiety. Any mental issue is caused by this energy getting built up within us. The only way to release that energy is through
dancing.
And so you let that out, and then it goes back in the atmosphere and just keeps it circling.
Okay.
And so...
What year were they doing this?
The 1930s.
Yeah.
And so because of that belief, he started trying to... he called it Orgone. He called it Orgone.
Okay.
And he started trying to find ways to conduct that Orgone energy.
Got it.
And he said, is there a way we can capture this energy from the atmosphere to where just in your regular day, you could pick up an Orgone accumulator. You're like, I'm a little stressed. I'm going to pick up a conductor and let that conduct that energy and let that stress out of me. But it's not like, you know what I'm saying?
Do you know what he's saying?
No, he's trying to take that sexual component out of it to where you could grab these little accumulators and it lets your stress out.
So there's an energy.
Yeah.
In
everything.
In the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's also in us.
Yeah.
But the only way to get it out of us, because it has to get out of us for some reason?
Well, because if you have too much of it, it makes you stressed and anxious or depressed in any condition.
You need a release of some kind. And he's saying...
He's trying to make conductors. So that way you can just grab onto that conductor and it would release it. Instead of what he thinks is the normal way to release it.
Instead of dancing.
So he built this. He built a couple devices.
Okay.
The Orgone.
What was his theory that would release that energy?
Well, he did a lot of research and he came up with these devices. So what he came up with was he believed that metal could conduct it, but it would only travel through organic material. So metal would attract it, but it couldn't harness it. Organic material could harness it.
Well, you got to attach it to an orange.
Just put a nail in some oranges.
Are you going to hold it up during a lightning storm?
Orgone, come here. No, so he built a couple things. One, and I don't know why, but I guess he had this theory that clouds trapped it up above the clouds. And so if you had clouds...
it was the 1930s, that's why. Yeah, I mean, why do you think any of this? You know, like, when you're trying to justify where you're like, yeah, for some reason you thought it was above the clouds. I'm like, okay. And you're like, that was the weird part that he thought. Yeah, everything else completely normal. But this is like the one weird thing where it's like trapped above the clouds or whatever. Yeah.
And so he made these, he called them cloud busters, which picture the like anti-aircraft cannons, but it was a box, and in that box was a bunch of metal and organic material, and then like copper pipes, like big copper pipes that he would just point up at the sky. And he claimed you point that up at the sky and it breaks up the clouds, and so that way the energy can come through.
Does he shoot the little things inside into the sky, or he just points it?
Sits there and points it, and it sends the energy up and breaks up the clouds.
Golly, dude!
Cloud buster.
We should First of all, figure out time travel, right? And then if we can do that, then we can go back and pretend to be scientists. So let's be real scientists, figure out time travel, right? And then go back in time and pretend, because you can just say stuff. You just be like, oh, yeah. I made this thing. It's like literally just a box with some crumpled up paper inside. And it's like a cardboard box, crumpled up paper, and then a toilet paper roll sticking out. Like, yeah, see, so the crumpled up paper, the way it works is that it
lets out
creates a lot of energy in there.
Energies,
and then it shoots out this toilet paper roll pipe into, you see how the clouds are moving?
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah, it's because of this.
Yeah. Did you see the sun rose this morning?
Yeah.
That's because this box.
That's because this box over here.
Like, you just say stuff.
So,
And some idiot would be like, yes.
yes. How much money do you need me to give you?
Let me fund your research.
So the other thing he made was Orgone Accumulators. And what these were picture those like saunas that you can buy at Costco.
Yeah. Where you, like the personal one where you like get into it and it's like a little tent.
Yeah. No, it's not a tent. It's like a wooden sauna, but you can buy it at Costco. It's like a little like
an outhouse looking thing?
Yeah, it looks like an outhouse. And so it's this
wooden... I was thinking of the personal saunas. Have you seen those?
I have not seen tent-based saunas.
Look up personal sauna real quick. You've got to see the pictures for this. Because it looks like, it looks like a Halloween costume, to be honest with you. Have you seen it? Where it's like a little... You see what I'm talking about? That's a real thing someone pays money for. That's a purchase that's like I got a family portrait. You know what I'm talking about? That's a stupid purchase.
It's $100.
Yeah, to just put her out and then your head is out of it and your body's just in a sauna. I got one at home.
Hold on.
Yes. Bro, this is like we took the Snuggies, right? And we were like, this is a next level Snuggie. This is introducing the sauna Snuggie, right?
This is terrifying. Can you imagine walking into a room and not knowing
why
what
is she holding a glass of water? Where do you put that glass when you're done drinking out of it?
You
like,
pull
do you
it
see
into
that?
the sauna, let it be hot.
There's no table next to her.
That's the sweat. You put it in the sauna and it filled the coffin.
That's disgusting. But look at that. Doesn't it look like
the worst?
Doesn't it look like she's like, it's Halloween and I'm being that girl from Willy Wonka or something? You know? Yeah, doesn't it look like...
this is absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this. This is not what I was thinking of. I was thinking of like the actual like saunas that you put in.
She's like, I'm one of the pieces from the board game Sorry, like just hopping around. It looks so stupid.
It looks absolutely...
You're thinking of like an actual wooden full sauna thing.
Yes, like one of these. The like an actual wooden sauna. Where did the picture go? Oh, it's like an actual wooden sauna that you put in like a closet in your basement, but it's only really big enough for you.
Yeah.
Maybe you could squeeze another person in there.
I have one of those at home too. In my apartment.
I put on my personal sauna and then I go sit in my wood sauna.
Yeah. My devil sauna. Sauna squared is what I called it.
So like one of those. It's like a little wooden, like an outhouse. That was a good description. But inside of it, what he did is the walls are lined with metal and then organic insulation, metal, organic insulation.
What is organic insulation?
Over and over and over again. It's insulation from your house, but made of, I don't know.
Organs?
Yeah, rats, I don't know. Rats? It's some kind of organic insulation.
I don't know, dude. It was the 30s. I don't know.
Yeah. Honestly, it was probably fur. Like, honestly, most likely fur.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was alternating metal and organic stuff.
And he believed that he could capture...
Yeah, then he lined the inside of the walls with metal.
This energy.
Yeah, and his idea was now it's going to conduct the energy, and you could sit in that little room, close the door, and it's going to shoot that energy into you, release the energy. And that will de-stress you and release your anxiety. And he started practicing this, and he was...
So he just built microwaves for people.
Step into my human wave. No, it was a mega wave. Step into my mega wave. My macro wave. So he started practicing, and like he was in Vienna, Austria, and he had people who came with symptoms, and his treatment would be, why don't you step in that room for like an hour?
Oh, you're anxious?
Yeah.
I got a closet for that.
I got a closet for that.
Okay.
Stressed. I got another closet for stress.
Yeah.
So here's the weird thing about this. And I don't know.
We've already said some weird things.
I don't know if it's the weird thing about this.
Or if it's a weird thing about this.
Part of me is like, wow, that's very odd that they did this. But then part of me knowing all of this is like, yeah, that makes sense. They should have done this. The FDA read his books and they were like, nah, we don't like that. And so,
Yeah.
so they like banned that treatment in the US and they collected up 60,000 of his books that were in circulation and they burned them, which is the only time I've heard of the FDA ever burning books.
I didn't know the FDA would be the one that did it. Who would have thought? We've been keeping an eye out for like the politicians and the fascists or whatever secretly. The Federal Department of Agriculture is acting like we got to get this off the streets, dude. This book's causing me a lot of stress, and it's giving me ideas of how to fix it, but I don't want to do those.
There's a guy there trying to
This
light
also-
the books, and he's lighting the fireworks.
Like the firework, trying to light the. But this also comes from like the same time of people who did those little belt workout machines, right? They just thought if you jiggled the fat enough, it would go away.
This was before that, but yes, same concept.
Is that the
Same-
50s? Is that
same
what I'm
mental
thinking of?
framework.
The 50s is that?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was later.
People were dumb for a long time.
Well, wait till you hear about
People are
this.
still stupid, but yeah. Well, wait till you find out about Twitter. Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. If you like this podcast, you want more of it, please leave a review. That's super helpful to let others know who are searching for a podcast. And if you're new around here, we've been doing this for several years, and there's plenty of episodes to check out. One of my personal favorites is Agent Garbo. It was a guy who went to the government during World War II and was like, hey, let me be a double agent. And they were like, no. And then he was like, well, I'm gonna. And so he kind of went off on his own, did the thing. And it's also got some crazy details about World War II, about how the U.S. used inflatable tanks to trick Germany, all kinds of fun stuff. But if you want to go check that out, you can. But thank you so much for listening to this podcast.
So in the 90s.
The 90s.
So
The
he practiced for a little while, and then he died. And when Freudian psychology fell out of favor, he went with it. And
Okay.
everybody else was like, oh, yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
We're going to stop doing that. And in the U.S., it never really happened because the FDA burned all the books. But everywhere else kind of followed suit shortly after when everything changed. And till the 90s. And in the 90s, the U.S. government released a report.
It was like, hey, we burned all those books. Hey, you guys know that huge fire?
Remember when we burned all those books? It wasn't those books. We burned the graphic novel Orgone.
Orgone's not a graphic novel.
It's graphic in our mind.
Dude, somebody in the FDA office, though, heard the announcement they were making that a movie, and they went, what?
What? We burned those.
Oh, Orgone. I thought you said something else. I thought you said the forbidden word. The FDA. To this day, if you go to the FDA and you say Orgone, they shoot you on the spot.
Kill that guy. What did you say? You're dead, jump. Not here.
Kill that guy. They're at their FDA desks. They're stupid little cubicles. And they're just typing agriculture, whatever they type, right?
Farms.
And then someone just says Orgone, and they pull a like a mini pitchfork, a retractable pitchfork out of their desk, right? And they go, kill that guy. Like a selfie stick. Kill that guy. I do like the idea of a retractable pitchfork.
Yeah, can we make those?
Bro, if people are selling personal saunas, we can absolutely make retractable pitchforks, dude.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. Yeah, who would call for that? We need to work on that. Take a note of
Yeah.
that.
Take it out of the episode so no one steals our idea. Jerry! Jerry, look at the TV! They stole my idea.
That is such a deep callback.
It's such a deep callback. Also, for my other idea, pillow pitchforks. Jerry, get in here. It's a pitchfork, but also a stuffed animal. It folds. You unfold it. Oh, gosh.
Okay.
Whew. That was a deep cut. I like that.
So, in the 90s, the military releases this report.
Yeah.
And it was a hypothetical study where they basically were like, what if it was possible for us in battle to control the weather? And so we could say, hey, we're fighting these guys.
Yes, yeah,
and what if we made
yeah.
it rain over there?
I've actually heard about
Or what if we
this.
struck them with lightning?
Yeah.
And just added another weapon to our arsenal. And it was incredibly hypothetical. And it talked about
Someone was like, I mean, the oil industry's already doing that, kind of, not on purpose, but they're doing it.
It was the same thing. What was that episode we talked about where when you're in the government, you just kind of make stuff up, or you're a science hypothesizer.
Hypothesizer? Yeah. You
just make stuff up.
Yeah, you can just say stuff.
And this is exactly what it was. He was just theorizing.
Yeah, I bet we can control
Yeah.
clouds. Yeah, if we could, because imagine the damage you could do if you could form a tornado.
Yeah. Or even just the edge you could give yourself if in combat you could just make it rain over where your enemy is. And then you can see clearly and it's not raining, but for them they're in this torrential downpour. You have an edge. And so I think that was
Why wouldn't you just tornado them? Why are you trying to make war more difficult? You're gonna do hand-to-hand combat, but some of them are wet? What are you talking about? Oh no, your enemy's slippery now. Whoa, they're stuck in the mud down there. Why don't you just hurricane them? You know what I'm talking about? Strike them with lightning, dude. Tsunami your enemy. Why did you go with? What if they were just?
your enemy's slippery now. That's the one that got me. I'm sorry, Cap. He's so slippery.
Yeah, dude, sorry, it's sprinkling out here. Sorry, Captain. I just don't perform my best on rainy days.
That's what the paper was saying. The paper wasn't saying we're going to hurricane people out in war. They were saying we're going to make it a little more cloudy. We're going to make it rain. We're going to control some stuff to make the enemy's experience a little bit more difficult to give us a tactical edge.
That's what they came up with?
Yeah, it wasn't. They weren't like, yeah, we're going to make a tornado happen.
Dude, that's what I'm saying. If you're a scientist who's making stupid ideas, make them good. Don't just come up with a stupid idea. Come up with a stupid idea. There's a difference.
So they released this paper, and that's exactly what everyone said. That's stupid. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Except for some people. Some people read that, and they said, this explains everything.
Good. Yeah.
And so this is where chemtrails came from. The conspiracy of chemtrails came
really?
from this paper. A bunch of people read that, and they're like, oh.
Did you know that's why I get my pilot's license? Because I want to be a chemtrail guy.
I got an email from a guy at chemtrails.gov.
Yeah. And I was like, that seems like a good career path. Because for that theory to exist, there's pilots out there leaving them.
Yeah, that's their job.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't know, I'm surprised. But basically the idea is there's a conspiracy theory that every time you look up in the sky and there's a plane flying over and it's leaving that exhaust plume behind it, that there's chemicals in that are making you dumb. And the government's paying for it.
And if you didn't notice, they're working.
It's doing its job. Yeah, and so this theory was like, oh, that's the slow leak of them saying they're doing this. And so as that theory erupted, the people who believed in it were looking for solutions.
Sure.
And they found
Orgone.
Wilhelm Reich.
Great.
And his cloudbusters. And so these people started building their cloudbusters, the same specs that he talked about, which was hard to do because all the books were on fire in the U.S. at least.
Yeah, you got to track down some material.
And so people started building these cloudbusters around their homes, and they were like, the chemtrails, they fly over, but then over our house, it's just clear skies. There's no chemtrails over our house.
And there's a very clear circle.
It's just circling their house.
Yep, they don't come here.
They don't. Yep. They try. You see them circling, but there's
an invisible boundary.
Orgone field.
We've set it
keeping
up.
them out. So it had been a long time. They had dug up Wilhelm Reich's works and they started building these cloudbusters again.
Sure.
And a lot of people started using them. I say a lot of people, but like a lot of conspiracy theorists started using them, having
like
them.
What do they buy them?
Well, they would build them and they would just leave them on their deck or something and point it at the sky. And be like,
Can you find a picture of a cloudbuster?
Yeah, give me a minute. It looks a lot like a Dave and Buster's.
They actually are Dave and Buster's. They're a front.
Let's see.
I'm
here.
Dave. Here are my busters.
Here are my Busters. Yeah, they look pretty. I mean, it depends.
I'm wondering, like, if it's on your back porch or
it
something, in your
depends
backyard.
whose Cloudbuster you're looking at. Like,
Okay, because I'm sure I'm sure there's some DIY ones.
Well, the majority of them are DIY Cloudbusters.
Sure.
So this is like your typical Cloudbuster that a DIYer.
I'm thinking, like, is someone sending out instructions? Here's how to make one.
Yeah, this is a typical Cloudbuster. It's a copper pipe sticking out of this box that has all your metal and stuff inside of it.
This is so dumb.
And it's just open at the top and it's busting your clouds.
And you can look how the person takes the picture too. Look at the shadow, right? This is a person who does the whole like thing.
But apparently, some people also have built some pretty insane Cloudbusters, like
Okay.
this one.
That's the same picture, Tim.
Sorry.
No way. That's not a cloudbuster.
Yes, it is.
For the audio listener, it looks like
It looks
Did
like...
you ever see the show? Oh man, what was that show called? Were there Junkyard Wars? Is that a show?
Yep.
It looks like a Junkyard Wars like military cannon. You know what I'm saying? Like that looks rough.
It's huge though. This thing's got to be like 10 feet tall, and then it's like at an angle. Like it looks like a turret.
Yes, yeah. It looks like it's
got
designed to be pointed. Like you see a cloud in the sky and you point
and
it
you-
at that cloud.
You turn the wheel. You're like,
Yeah.
Let me turn my Cloudbuster up at that chemtrail.
You know, it's like
So, anyways,
so. This has been going on for a minute, then.
yeah, that was in the 90s.
Okay.
And so for about a little over a decade and maybe 2 decades, this has been going on where people have been building their Cloudbusters
Okay.
until something pretty significant came out recently, actually, and that was 5G.
They hate that.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember when 5G came out, but conspiracy theorists are freaked out about it.
Yes. They thought that it was COVID.
Yeah, they thought that it was killing all of us and making us dumber, just like the chemtrails and making us sick and all this stuff. And around this time was when...
It's always interesting to me that the dumbest people are worried about how dumb people are. You know? Like, you're making you dumber. And you're like, do you hear the words you're saying? You're an idiot. Like,
the government did this.
I'm worried that you standing too close to your Cloudbuster has made you dumber.
So this led to the adaptation of Orgone Pucks.
Pucks?
Pucks. And so what these people figured out was they could take some like metal shavings and a bunch of organic resin and layer them and squish them down in like a press and then keep doing that over and over again, get like 100 layers and then put that into like a cupcake pan and bake them. And then it would bake into this literal like a hockey puck shape of these Orgone
And then what
conductors.
do? Just leave it on your dashboard in your car? Put it in your shoe?
These people are known as Orgone Gifters. And so what they do is they cover their own home with them. They've got them all over their home. They got them in their cars.
Yeah,
they carry them
we
in
got
their
one
pocket.
back there. We got the Amazon one back there. It just...
The Echo is a Orgone puck. It actually looks kind of like one.
That's the conspiracy theory.
And
Oh, shoot. Are all those people going to find this episode?
yeah, and then they're gonna be like, oh,
Dadgummit.
the Amazon.
Look at them. Because they think they're so smart. Yeah, and they'll comment like 3 a.m.
Yeah,
Idiots.
yeah. It'll be great. I'm very looking forward to it. But anyways,
I can't wait to get my
Gifters.
pilot's license. I'm going to chemtrail your house. Dude, as soon as I get my pilot's license. Dude, I want to be.
That's going to be how we reply to all of those.
You know, there's only
We're going
six-
to chemtrail your house.
You know, there's only 6 people in the world left that do the plane riding stuff. Full
Really?
time.
In the world?
Full time
Oh,
anyway.
full time. That's crazy.
I don't know if there's part time people, but
6 people in the world.
I was looking it up. I was like, well, how much, could I become one of those pilots? You got to be really good.
Yeah, that sounds hard.
But I do want to write chemtrail above someone's house.
You've been chemtrailed.
That's so many letters. But if you write out chemtrail, like there's no, and if someone would be like, there's no denying it. See?
Yeah, I saw chemtrail above my house. I know because they wrote chemtrail with the chemtrail.
Yeah.
So what these Orgone Gifters do is and I kid you not, they just go around their town and they just throw the pucks places. And so they'll like drive in, they'll be driving
dude, someone broke my
around.
window the other day. With an Orgone puck.
They're tossing
Or
into
they
the
just toss
woods,
them around town because they're like,
tossing
yeah,
it,
my
like,
town is safe.
behind a bench. Yeah, that's the idea. And they're creating their Orgone field around their town. And people will throw them in the ocean. Like they think they're, like,
and
saving the
they go
planet.
out to restaurants, right? And they're sitting there with this secret knowledge they've saved the town, right? And they get some bad service, and they're just like, these ungrateful
Yeah,
people.
They don't know how many pucks I've put in this restaurant.
They don't know the lengths that I've gone to protect this town. So now they figured out how to do them in pucks. That's
Yes,
okay.
they started making them in pucks.
What do
And
they think about 5G? How do they think that's involved?
That's a little irrational, because Wilhelm, his point was that these Orgone things, they're conductors, and so it's pulling the energy in, and then it pulls it into your body, which you can then release.
Okay.
And so the logic here is if there is some sort of negative electromagnetic field that's released by these 5G towers, then your pucks are attracting it. And it's not repulsive, it's attracting.
Okay.
But in their heads, it's like a force field, and it's protecting them from the 5G. And so
interesting.
they'll throw them specifically at the tower, like cell phone towers. Like they'll throw them. Like honestly,
Got 'em.
after this, like let's go up to that cell tower on what is that 39th?
Yeah.
That big one, and let's just go look. I bet we might find some pucks just around the fence.
No way.
I bet
you
we
think
will.
so?
I bet we will. Let's try it. Let's just try it. If you got a cell tower in your house, go check for pucks and post them and tag us if you find any. Because I bet there are some. I think the better place you could find it, you might find it in your hometown. I think those are the places where you're pretty much guaranteed to find a
Oh,
puck.
let's play into this prejudice. Why do you think that?
Oh, because those are the people who believe this stuff.
Yeah, there it was. Oh, that was fun. That was fun to see you come after my small town like that.
Yeah. Do you disagree?
No. I just don't say it out loud. I don't go around and be like, anybody got any Orgone pucks? You should listen to this podcast where I call you an idiot.
And there's people who've like started making them look different, like pyramids, and like putting like the top of it, the pyramids, just like clear resin, and they'll put like a dragon in there or a crystal, and like so it looks pretty, and you put it on your desk, and you're like,
Sure.
it's like an item, but it's
Yeah,
these
it's attracting
pucks.
all the Orgone.
Yeah, it's keeping all the it's getting the Orgone gone.
That's what they think.
That's the idea. You got to get the Orgone out.
Okay,
And that's
okay.
what these do. But anyways, so here's what's interesting about this.
They're 100% right.
The U.S. still thinks that this stuff is garbage. And they burn every book that comes out.
Like the government.
The FDA gets a book off the shelf and burns it every time a new Orgone book comes out.
They don't touch it.
Kill
though.
that guy.
They see the book, they go,
They throw it in. They got a pizza oven in the office that they throw it in.
a wood fire pizza oven.
They burn the
And they
Orgone
didn't even
books.
look. And someone's like, my Supreme. Dude, just look next time before you throw. I had a pizza in there.
That's the third pizza this week you threw a bad book on. Yeah. Now you got a literature pizza. Hey, thanks again for listening to this episode. If you like our show, make sure you follow us on social at TILLN Podcast or subscribe anywhere where you're listening to right now, whether that's YouTube, Spotify,
or Apple Podcasts, whatever it is. And if you want more, we do have a Patreon you can support us on. In there, you get all sorts of perks like ad-free episodes, early access to our content, and even a Discord with our hosts and producers. So we'd love for you to check that out. All you got to do is text TILLN to 66866. That's TILLN to 66866. But thanks again for checking us out. Anyways, so the U.S. still has a policy against this, right?
Right.
And there are some like universities in the U.S. that have looked at it,
Okay.
but very few. Outside the U.S., on the other hand, there are a lot of pretty notable institutions that have done some research into this Orgone stuff.
Interesting.
And let's take a look at it. So first,
Prager University. It's a good joke. Alex, why are you writing that down? Leave that in.
that's a good joke.
That's a good joke.
That's a great joke.
Great joke, even.
Okay, so Cloudbusters.
Liberty University. Also a great joke. Don't write it down. Alex?
He's not writing that one.
Yeah,
he's like, we'll leave that one.
Yeah,
We'll leave that one. Okay, so they've done experiments with the three forms: the Cloudbusters, the Accumulator box, and the Pucks. We'll start from
who has? Say it again.
PragerU.
No. What'd you actually say?
Some institutions all over the world, like major institutions,
you didn't say
respectable
it. I thought you said
institutions.
something.
Yeah, all over the world have done these.
Can
studies.
you name any of them?
You're
just going to leave it at respectable institutions? What is that? Wendy's? What are you talking about?
Yeah, Wendy's has done some research on these things. So we'll start with the Cloudbusters.
Okay.
The research on these has come back very inconclusive because sometimes when you point these Cloudbusters at the sky, clouds will dissipate. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes when you point nothing at the sky, clouds will dissipate. Sometimes they won't. And so, so the scientists are like, we can't say for sure that these have any effect on the clouds. But they're pretty.
I guess that is the scientific answer.
Yeah, they're pretty confident though,
but
that they have no effect.
Yeah.
So Cloudbusters, get them
I
out
do
of there.
appreciate science for being like, I mean, we can't say for sure no.
Yeah, but it's pretty clear that it doesn't. The Pucks. This is an interesting one. And I actually watched. This is a common experiment that they'll do, and a lot of the gifters will do this experiment to like prove that they work.
Okay.
So what happens is apparently if you have these pucks in your home, then you get stalactites in your freezer of icicles, but they're not icicles going down; they're going up.
Oh, those are stalagmites.
Oh, I got them backwards. Okay, stalagmites. Mm-hmm. But as
I just did the Fantastic Caverns tour.
Oh,
so that's why I know.
Happy for you. In a cave.
It was a great time. I really liked it. Whole family.
Fantastic Caverns really is fantastic.
It's like legitimately is pretty
legitimately
cool.
Is
I bought a hoodie.
Did you really?
Yeah, I thought it'd be really funny to have a Fantastic Caverns hoodie. I'll wear it next time.
I love that. So in a cave, a stalagmite forms with a stalactite drips on it because it's above it, and then it forms a column eventually. And so with icicles, the same sort of concept can happen. When an icicle drips enough, it forms a stalagmite icicle. Eventually, they form an ice column.
Yes.
But what's strange is in these freezers, there's no icicle above. It's just ice climbing upwards, which is very odd. And so some experiments have been done to try to understand what's causing this.
Okay. And it only happens in people's
freezers.
Puck homes? Pucky palaces?
It's for the Pucky Palace. Welcome to our Pucky Palace. So what they did is they got some of these pucks and they got some regular old hockey pucks.
Yeah.
I think.
What do they think that the water was psychological? Like we're gonna do a placebo effect on the ice.
I think Vice News actually did this as well.
Okay.
And so
you were talking about like real
respectable
institutions.
No, so they got some ice. They got a
Vice
cup of
News
water.
and Barstool.
Barstool.
They were like
respectable institutions.
There we go.
No, so they got a cup of water. And they put a puck on top of the water and they put it in the freezer. They got a cup of water and they put a hockey puck on it and put it in the freezer. and then different freezer, just
Obviously.
put normal water in
Sure.
it. And so all these were in separate freezers, right? What's interesting is the water that was stuck alone in the freezer, just blocks of ice.
Right.
The water with the hockey puck on it, block of ice. The water with the puck on it, the Orgone puck, block of ice at the top, but like a pillar of ice in the middle, and the rest of it was normal water, which is very odd. And so they continued this experiment, and it would repeat. So then they started to try different positionings of the pucks.
Okay.
And if you put the puck above it, what's strange that would happen is you would get a spiral icicle in the cup of water up to that little puck of water at the top. But you could repeat a similar effect with the hockey puck. I messed this up. The hockey puck, when it was stamped on top, did get the block of ice with the pillar.
Okay.
But when it was on top, you didn't get the spiral. You couldn't get the spiral with the hockey puck. So it was very strange.
Okay.
The conclusion that the scientists came to is there is some sort of electromagnetic field manipulation happening from these. But the idea that there's a physiological effect because of that is at best circumstantial. But there is some sort of field manipulation happening in some small range from these Orgone pucks, which
Okay.
they're pumped full of metal. So most likely there's some kind of magnetism in there
Sure.
that would affect the world around it. So that's the idea there. The third one, and this is arguably the most interesting, is the accumulator, the sauna. What they did was pretty simple. They built a sauna, a normal one,
Right.
and then they built an accumulator sauna, and they shoved a bunch of people in there.
No volunteers.
And then they took them out. They said, "Who's
They
stressed?"
took 7 volunteers and 1 involunteer, and they put them in there. They said, "We'll let you out in 2 years."
You guys got to make your own oxygen.
No, so it was somebody signed it, and what happened?
So the people,
Pretty crazy.
The people who were in the regular one, like
Their
just
blood.
the normal sauna one,
Spirals.
they turned into tornadoes.
Oh, what happened to Keith? Yeah, Keith got tornadoed.
Yeah, some scientists turned them into tornado. Not a tornado, 2 tornadoes. So here's what's strange. So the people in the normal sauna, they had a negative experience. For all of them, they covered them in like heart rate monitors, brain
Sure.
scan monitors, like blood pressure sleeves, all
They
this
were
stuff.
reading that they didn't like it.
Yeah, and all these people, and they gave testimonies too, but it was a negative experience. Their blood pressure rose, their heart rate rose, their brain rate rose.
Sure. Sounds like you could use it.
And so they all got stressed. Most of them had feelings of claustrophobia. Most of them felt very lonely, reported feeling lonely. A lot of them, it was just an uncomfortable experience.
Sure.
Right? The people in the other ones, they had an experience where they had a decline in stress levels. Their heart rate lowered, their breathing slowed, and they reported that they had a sense of calm, and that they felt a tingling sensation. And a lot of them, some of them said tingling sensations. Others said they felt something that they couldn't describe, but it was some kind of sensation. And so again, it seems like there is
I've
some
heard
sort
that
of
before.
what?
That whole description.
Yeah, what is it?
The Thursday night at youth camp.
I was breathing really slowly,
and
I felt my heart beating very, very
like
slow.
when I opened my eyes, there she was. And I felt like God was telling me,
That's the one.
that's the Somerton man's granddaughter. Go to her.
Go to her. And so I went to her and I asked for her DNA.
Stupid. So what you're saying is we need to line the walls of our office.
In metal and organic material. Here's the thing. There's some evidence that these are manipulating electromagnetic fields around them. How widely is unclear. And if that's having any real physiological effect on people is most likely circumstantial.
Yeah.
But everybody who was in that accumulator did physiologically de-stress. Their breathing slowed, their heart rate slowed, and they all reported feeling calm. Where the people in the same size room that was not packed with that stuff in the wall got more stressed. Very odd.
Okay.
But at this point, all the research is still technically inconclusive. Which brings me to a good pivot point to talk about the Orgone Warriors.
Okay.
Man.
I don't like whatever you just set up here. Oof.
So there's this, it's been described as a cult.
For sure.
There's a group of people who believe that God has chosen them to bring Orgone into the world to save us all from the apocalypse.
Great.
And it's the Orgone that will help us survive the apocalypse, which is...
You know what one of my biggest fears is?
What?
That one of these cults is right. That's like one of my biggest fears. And that we'll all have to be begging them for help.
Give me your Orgone. You made fun of me in that podcast.
You listen to our podcast? Never mind. I can die happy. Knowing that people in the real world listen to our podcast. Just so you know, listener.
No.
No, what are you trying to say? Were you going to stop me?
No, yeah, I'm going
You
to
know
stop
exactly
you.
what I'm
We need
about
to
to say.
cut that out.
Because Tim said...
I did not.
Tim
You're taking
said
this grossly out of context.
No one in real life listens to our show.
That is not what
That
I
is
said.
exactly what he
You
said.
asked me. You
So
said, "Are you surprised how many people ask TILLN questions in your Instagram post?" And I said, "No, because my real friends don't care about me."
You heard it there, folks. You're not his real friends. Just keep digging, dude.
I said,
Here's your retractable
the people
shovel.
I really know.
Keep digging.
The people I really know, they don't care about me.
Yeah.
You didn't ask me a question in my Instagram story. My wife didn't ask me a question in my Instagram story.
Yeah.
My dad didn't ask me. No one asked me.
Because you know the questions I've got?
Yeah, those hit my inbox.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm digging my grave.
Seems like you're doing mentally fine right now.
We need to cut that out.
Don't cut it out, Alex.
Cut it out.
Don't cut it out,
We need
Alex.
to cut it out. We can't have the...
He didn't touch the pen.
God dang it, Alex. Cut it out. Cut it out.
Don't worry, dude.
I'm going to go back.
No
I'm
one's
going
going to hear
I
it.
posted. I'm going to cut it out.
Don't worry, man. No one's going to hear it.
I'm going to cut it out.
Okay, it's fine.
Okay, so...
You won't remember to.
You're right. So the Orgone Warriors.
They're like a cult. Where are they at?
It started by this woman named Sherry Shriner.
Yeah. First of all, anybody who would introduce themselves, I'm Sherry Shriner. I'd be like, yeah, no, I'm not really interested in learning anything from a circus clown, so I'm going to go.
As far as I can tell, this is like an internet only cult. Like everyone, they organized on Facebook, and then she started like a radio
they
show.
organized.
She started like a radio show. It was a podcast, but she called it a radio show.
We're a radio show.
Yeah, we're a radio show. And she was on Patreon. And I don't know. I checked today. She
Would
hasn't
you
posted
subscribe?
She hasn't posted anything since 2017.
Oh.
And so I don't think it's active. But right now they only have 5 patrons. She only has 5 patrons. I got a feeling that at one point it was a lot more
6
than
now.
that. Because in 2017 she has 30,000 YouTube subscribers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, her video views were like in the hundreds of thousands, but she hasn't posted anything since 2017.
What happened in 2017?
Well, so
She ascended. Pretty crazy. Just saw her spiraling up into the sky.
So a little while before that, in like 2012, she came forward claiming that she had a vision from God that she was the granddaughter of King David.
Is that real?
Yes.
I've been looking for his granddaughter.
Wait, are you serious? I've been looking for her.
Did you send me an email? My email is Paul Rudd, the actor.
At gmail.com.
So she came forward in 2012. What do you mean she came forward? Do you mean she just posted this online?
posted online.
Or
She
do you
said, "I
think
saw-"
she came
she
forward
said,
to the
"God-"
media?
She said God gave me. Well, here's the thing. If you go to her website, she says that she's been blacklisted from the media. They don't want anyone to know about her.
Dude, I called KY3 so many times.
She
and
tries.
They won't let
keeps
me on
trying to
the
get an
air.
interview. No, but she says that her whole life she's had these visions and stuff like that, and then eventually in like 2012, God revealed to her that she is the granddaughter of David, and she was chosen to bring the Orgone Pucks into the world to save us all from the apocalypse.
Okay.
To save the survivors, the chosen survivors from the apocalypse. Here's the issue with Sherry Shriner.
With all that.
As with many cults, when you question them, things go south.
Right.
There are a handful of people connected to Sherry Shriner who are dead now because they disagreed. And Sherry has not been convicted in any of this, but people in her circle, like who are in her cult, have.
Been convicted of murder?
Yeah. And it's not, it seems a lot like Sherry has driven people to do the killing, but the
Sure.
people who do them seem to be, it seems like they don't even recall what happened. Which
This
is
became
very
a true
strange.
crime podcast? What are we talking about?
Well,
So she directed these people to kill the people. Allegedly.
maybe.
Maybe.
Nothing's been tied back.
Scientists say it's
She hasn't been
non-conclusive.
convicted. The scientist said, it seems like,
So,
but we don't know.
so the people who did the killing, they don't recall doing the killing, or they don't recall,
They either don't recall doing the killing or they think it was an accident.
or they're so loyal that they won't say anything.
Maybe.
That's also an option.
Maybe.
People within the cult who disagreed, or just people? People who vocally
I think they were
disagreed?
all in the cult.
'Kay.
I think they were all in the cult. Here's what I'll say. It's a wild story, and it's very large. Maybe we should just make it a part 2, because I'm realizing we burned a lot of time.
We have. Yeah.
Maybe we should just make it a part 2.
You gonna do a separate part 2 on that?
Yeah, let's
Some
do
other
that.
time, sure.
Let's do that. We'll come back to this.
I don't like how cool you just got. How you went, yeah. Let's do that.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's talk about all this murder next time.
Next time on TILLN Murder. Hey, thank you so much for watching that episode of Things I Learned Last Night. If you want to watch more episodes, you can do that here, or there's other highlights. Please make sure you subscribe to this channel. We release new episodes every single Tuesday, which means if you didn't like this episode and you're still here somehow, you can go back and watch many of the other ones we've done. And if you want to help us do more of those episodes, please consider joining us on Patreon, where if you're like, I just can't wait for another one, well, Patreon has next week's right now. So you can do all of that at TILLN.com. Please subscribe. Thanks again for watching.